My name is Nedu. I made a dress with rose puff sleeves and it's easily my favorite detail of this dress. It's really easy to do. First, I modified my basic sloper into a puff sleeve. The length below the bicep line is 2 inches. Partition the pattern into 4 with 3 evenly spaced lines and then slash through the lines from the top but not all the way to the bottom. And then spread each line along the top by 2 inches. To create the puff, raise the cap height by 2 inches. Then, stick the pattern onto a fresh piece of paper and redraw the sleeve head curve. And here's the puff sleeve pattern. Finally, add seam allowances. Here's how to modify the puff sleeve pattern into a rose shape. First, cut out 2 pieces with the pattern, one for the left sleeve and one for the right sleeve. These will be the sleeve lining pieces. Next, cut the pattern into 2 equal parts starting from the bottom, but leave a small hinge at the top. Spread it open at a right angle and place on a squared piece of fabric and cut. Mark guide points at the center of the slash pattern against the fabric. And this fabric piece will be used to create the rose shape. Cut 2 pieces, one for the left sleeve and one for the right sleeve. These will be the sleeve shell pieces. Next, fold it in half, and sew from the marked guide point to the folded edge. And after sewing, you would see an outline of the puff sleeve on one side and a triangle for the rose shape on the other side. Now push the pointy edge outwards and arrange the triangle in neat folds to create a rose shape. Next, attach the lining. There are 2 methods of doing this. With the first method, you'd have a shell piece and lining piece for each sleeve. With the right side of the fabric facing outward, take note of the sleeve back edge. Now place the lining piece against the shell piece right sides to right sides and stitch both together along the bottom edge. Tack down the rose folds to the lining piece with tiny hand stitches and understitch the lining so it lays flat. Make 2 sets of the rose puff sleeves. Next, fold each sleeve and stitch together, creating a tube for the arms. The stitch and seam allowance are visible with this method. With the second method, you'd have a shell, underlining, and lining pieces for each sleeve. I used organza fabric for the underlining. And here's the lining fabric. Now use the puff sleeve pattern to cut pieces with the underlining and lining fabric. Next, cut the rose sleeve against the shell fabric, same as before. Then, create the rose shape. And here are the 3 pieces required for each sleeve. With the right side of the fabric facing outward, take note of the sleeve back edge. Now layer the shell and underlining pieces. Stitch them together all around. And then tack the rose folds against the underlining with tiny hand stitches so that they stay in place. So here's the underlined shell. The next step is adding the lining. So fold each piece in half and stitch along the short edge. And after sewing, turn the lining piece with the wrong side facing outwards and the shell piece with the right sides facing outwards. And then insert the shell piece into the lining piece. And make sure that their seams are perfectly aligned. Then, stitch both pieces together all around the bottom edge. Also understitch the lining so that it stays in place and doesn't slip downwards. And after sewing, flip out the lining piece and slip it into the shell piece. You'd observe that the stitch and the seam allowance are not visible with this method. And finally, gather the sleeve head and then attach the sleeve to the dress armhole. And here are the beautiful rose puff sleeves. This is easily my favorite part of this dress.